everybody. I'm Tom Vassell.
Z Garcia, how's everybody doing?
Sam Healy, what's up, y'all?
Now, there are amazing games out there that are abstract games that have no theme involved with them. And I think I like them best when they don't even pretend to have a theme involved in them. Now, you like a few abstract games, Hanami Kojo?
Koji.
Yes.
He can't figure it out.
Hanami Koji.
I'm just not even going to try. But there are also games that have theme. Then there's what we often call where the theme is pasted on,
Yes.
where you could take the theme off and it could be a completely different game. And sometimes the
Something else.
theme actually works against the game.
Yeah.
So today we're talking about games that go the opposite direction. Games that are so chock full of theme that when you sip the game, theme it comes into your pores, and that's a bad analogy. Okay, I shouldn't have started that.
You need to stop drinking through your skin.
How do you
sip?
drink through your skin? You just like dip yourself in it
If you're a
and
froggy
sit
frog,
there for a little while.
I guess. I don't
So
know.
we're talking about games that are really thematic to the point where I think if you take the theme away from my games, I have a hard time imagining another theme on these. Now I did for myself make a limit of one game per theme. So for example, let's say there was Star Trek. That's not on my list, but let's say there was multiple good Star Trek themes.
Okay.
I only would have picked one good Star Trek game. That was just something I did for myself. That's all.
I did that too, without realizing that I did.
Yeah, I don't think I thought about it, but I probably did
Well,
too.
there's one game I'm pretty sure is on your list, and well, we'll get to that when we get to it.
Okay.
This is a hard list for some of us. Why?
No, I think I did all right. I think you guys are going to be fairly happy with my list.
What? No arguments?
Doubt it.
We'll argue. Let's go for it.
Number 10.
All right, my number 10 is a game that I actually don't like that much. I have played it. I've played it a lot, actually.
Good,
but I don't
good.
enjoy it as much, but I do see how the theme is very heavily wrapped up into the mechanisms that are employed in the game.
Bonanza.
No.
It's so real.
I can feel the dirt under my fingers from planting them
You need
beans.
to wash your cards.
Well, actually, if you
no.
play long enough.
It's not Bonanza. It is Flashpoint Fire Rescue.
All right, I consider this.
This is a heavily thematic game, and it's probably going to be on
No, it's not.
somebody's list.
I did consider it, though. There's a lot of good.
It's not on your list.
There's a lot of good games, dude.
We got to
for
do
this
top
list.
11 next
Goodness.
time, so he
Wow,
can put it in
yeah,
there.
so you can put it in there. Anyway, Flashpoint Fire Rescue is where each player takes on the role of one of the different firefighters that are sent to a house that is on fire and blazing, and you're trying to get in there, save all the people, well, or as many of the people, all the people, I think, right?
You're trying
I
to
haven't
save
played
all
this
the
in a long
people,
time.
yes.
Yes. Well, I mean, sometimes
That's how
acceptable
big a
losses.
firefighter works.
I mean, if the cat's there and
You
it
don't
gets
have-
consumed, it gets consumed. I'm not
You
going to
don't
worry
have
about
to save all of them, but
Okay,
you're trying
see?
to.
Yeah, you're trying to, right? You don't. I mean, I'm talking about to win the game. You don't,
Okay, got
I
it.
mean, there's acceptable losses there, right? So anyway,
It's getting dark right away.
This
All right.
derailed really quick. Yes. Anyway. I really have a lot of respect for firefighters. I just don't really enjoy the game that much, but this game has a whole lot of theme in it. So that is my number 10, Flashpoint Fire Rescue.
My number 10 is a meta game, but it does it really well, and that's Millennium Blades. Does the theme of collecting cards well. So it's kind of weird that there's a game about gaming,
Right.
and I was suspect going in, but really, in this game, you were like, all right, I got $3. All right, I'll pay $3 to buy a pack of cards. All right, I'll pay 3 more. And you keep doing that. And I literally have done that in my life, where I'd be like, okay, I got $10. Gonna go to the store. I'm gonna buy 5 packs of cards.
Ciphers,
I'm gonna.
CCG.
So I would go there. I'd buy 5 packs, and I'd be like, I could do laundry next week. Buy another bag.
Oh, that's why there's so much funk.
That's what-
Look. I'm not
They got you.
justifying it. I'm just saying that's what happened. And that's what happens in this game. And also it has where you're trading cards with other people and then you play the game. I really like that theme. It really fits. Nothing else would have worked there, I think. So Millennium Blades, my number 10.
Cool. Yeah, I have a meta one coming up in a little bit. But for right now, my number 10 is Fury of Dracula, probably 3rd edition. I think it's the cleanest
yeah, it's
one
a good
of
one.
the 3. and it
really,
simulates
any of the editions.
any of them, really. Yeah, but I think the newest one is A, available, and B, very
Well,
clean and
for a very short
streamlined.
time, anyway.
Very short.
Yeah, you're right. I guess that one did go the way of the dodo with the right. So Fury of Dracula, I like that the passage of time in it is a little iffy, which is probably why it's this high on the list. Each turn does simulate, several weeks probably, because you are traveling across Europe. And what's going on, there is a little bit of a fight between what they use to keep track of time, which is a day, but the actual passage of time. So the disconnect in the theme there is slight. But overall, the gameplay is very thematic, both for the hunters looking for Dracula and Dracula hiding, skulking away, being opportunistic with when they strike, preferably at night. Again, it's a little iffy, but I really enjoy the game. I think it's well done, thematic, captivating. I knew it was going to make my list, so it sneaks in at number 10, Fury of Dracula, 3rd edition.
If that snuck in, I'm curious as to what's...
The rest of them are
doing good so far.
I think the rest of them are pretty thematic. Some of these you haven't played, I think.
So far,
Yes?
You haven't played it.
so far.
Number 9.
All right, my number 9 is my Cthulhu choice, and that is Eldritch Horror. I really like Eldritch Horror. I think Cthulhu is... There's a lot of games that have Cthulhu in them, but I don't think the theming is that strong. And some people actually argue with Eldritch Horror because they say that the game is not as horrific, right, as the Cthulhu stories are. It's more adventurous.
I was just thinking that's probably one of the least major Cthulhu games as far as theme is concerned.
Well, here's the thing. I don't know that it's...
I wouldn't have picked that as my Cthulhu representative.
I think some games have more, some of the Cthulhu games that I prefer certainly have more Cthulhu stuff, but mechanically they're not as what we're talking about here. They're not as connected to the theme. I think that one is probably the one
Well, I
where
think it is. I don't think it might be as scary as
Right.
purists would like, but I don't care. For me, the theme of the game comes from the fact that Cthulhu's there, but also
and
adventure.
his daughter.
And his daughter, Cthulhu. But you're going around the world and you are fighting different things, and you are, it's like, over here, and those cards, they're really well written. You don't realize how well written they are until you play a lot of games and you're like, oh yeah, these guys didn't really try with the writing part.
Right.
We played a lot of games like that. These are really well done. Each expansion seems to add some more cool theme to it. The artwork and everything, it just ties together. It has an Indiana Jones feel to it, and I really like that. So, Eldritch Horror, my number 9.
I don't really usually care for Cthulhu-esque, but my honorable mentions has Mansions of Madness on it. I would have chosen that over
what is
Eldritch
wrong with me?
Are you serious?
Go.
You've been playing Mansions of Madness too
I think
much.
they're both valid choices, though. I get that whole world travel backstory to the
Mansions
characters
of Madness, what a
thing.
choice.
It's okay, buddy. Let's pick another game, okay? Here we go. My number 9 is a game called Rum and Bones: Second Tide, about jumping back and forth across the decks of ships, fighting each other, having beasties and monsters and crazy pirates attacking one another, taking out features on those ships and destroying them, cannonballing each other. I mean, everything going on in the game can be, sometimes if you're falling between the ships.
That's true.
Everything in the game can be explained using the theme in many ways, and I like that. The only thing that, again, puts it at 9 for me as opposed to a little bit higher in the list is that the MOBA style people marching towards one another is a little bit like, huh? Why are these guys like on rails? What's going on? Like, hey, there's a dude right there. You should maybe attack him. No, we're going this way. So that's the only thing. But everything else I do find very thematic, rigging across from one ship to another, attacking, everything. Even the Kraken showing up, which may or may not happen, I find to be thematic.
If you're playing me,
if you stir up the seas enough, there's enough blood in the water, so to speak, he will show up and go to town. So that's my number 9, Rum and Bones: Second Tide.
I'm actually surprised that's on your list.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, it's very thematically rich.
Still good.
What's your number 9?
So good. My number 9 is a biblically themed game called Commissioned. Commissioned is a game that's where you are trying to take the gospel, and you're part of the early church, and you're trying to spread the gospel throughout the Jerusalem and all of the surrounding areas up in Asia Minor and all this other kind of stuff. And everything that's part of the game, from the different phases of the game to the different event cards, they're all historically founded, and it is just a really, really immersive game that works well with the theme. The mechanisms are pandemic-esque, I guess you could say, in that it involves some of the same things, but they've made a few changes to it, and enough changes to it to where it doesn't feel like I'm playing Pandemic. It feels like I'm playing a game that is biblically based and biblically grounded. So I really enjoyed the theme of Commission. I am a Christian, so I mean, there's that. But I really thought that the mechanisms and the theme worked well together, so much so that it really does feel like you're, I mean, as much as it could, I guess, feel like you're back in that first century. So that's my number 9, Commissioned.
Cool.
Number 8.
My number 8 is a game that when I first played, I actually did not realize how thematic it was. The game is called Thunderbirds. I had not watched Thunderbirds before. I was not really familiar with the old TV show or the new
You
reboot.
watched the intro segment. Where they got into their thing.
Yes, I had seen the really elaborate montage
Yeah,
of
it takes like 3
him,
minutes
like
for that.
them loading into the various machines. Yes,
A 2-mile long tube.
that's true. But I enjoyed the game. I knew I liked it very much. I just did not realize how thematic it was. Now that I've seen some of the old TV show and the new one that I think Amazon ended up rebooting, right? It's apparent to me how much thought and care and interest went into making sure the game was thematic. And it is very thematic. Not only does it replicate sort of the emotions you assume these characters are going through, but the nature of making sure you are, being certain that you're getting support from this person in this vehicle, showing up at this location, and then the one guy who's in outer space communicating with you down here to, sort of coordinate everything. It's very puzzly. You're moving a lot of pieces. And then having the bad guy, the Hood, as he is called, trying to foil your plan at every step and having to sometimes not go on a mission to stop something that's gonna, that they're attempting to do to mess you up. It's really cool, very engaging game. And I think if you are not a fan of the show, you'll enjoy it. If you like co-ops, if you are a fan of the show, I think you're really gonna get an immersive experience. So that's my number 8, Thunderbirds.
I wonder if I could only recommend this to fans of the show, because I haven't seen it, and the theme meant nothing to me.
Yeah, but I
Right.
mean, if you understand that it's, you're going around the world rescuing, or stopping bad things from happening, you'll get into it. It's
I
good enough.
guess.
But if you know it, you'll really be captivated, I think.
Wasn't that released on like the 50th anniversary of the show or something like that?
Yes, I think so.
That's probably why they put a lot more effort into
That could be.
making
That could
sure
be.
it was.
It's a Matt
matching
Leacock
up.
game, so it is well
Yeah.
designed.
And Modifius does a good job at, they like theme a lot in their
Yeah,
games.
That's well done.
All right, my number 8 is a Wild West themed game, and it's probably not one that most people would pick for their Wild West themed game, but I tried to think of this game with any other theme on it, and it just didn't mesh, and that is Dice Town. Dice Town is a really thematic game. Now, you're rolling dice that are you're supposed to be, according to the box cover and some of the lore, you're supposed to be sitting around a table and you're playing a poker hand at the local saloon.
Okay.
And the person who gets the highest hand, so to speak, gets to choose basically what he wants to do, and you're taking people's property and you're protecting your own property and all this kind of stuff. But I just tried to think of some other theme that would wrap around this and still be as fun as it is, and I just couldn't do it. And that's why it made my list. I know it's not exactly what people would think from a Wild West themed game, but it just works for me. And that's one of the reasons why I enjoy the game so much, is because of the theme that's around it. The artwork also is very good by Piero, and he did a great job bringing that theme to life with the mindset I guess you're supposed to have with the game, kind of a frolicky, fun type of mindset. It's not a serious type Western game at all. But that's my number 8, Dice Town.
My number 8 is a kind of a wonky theme if you ever watch any of those dumb 50s sci-fi movies where aliens are coming to take over the world, and that is Attack of the Aliens, Conquest of Planet Earth, sorry. Conquest of Planet Earth. This is
right.
from Flying Frog Productions, and they do a good job at theme. They have a hard time sometimes making the game as good as their theming is, I think. But I thought this one, it really meshed, as long as you play the cooperative game. The competitive game is not that good. But in this game, here you are, you're coming in, you're sending your flying saucers around, you're trying to blow stuff up, and the military is fighting back against you. And they have, I mean, you get to blow up, like you find a farm, it's gone, ha ha ha. But then the tanks show up, fighter jets show up, a superhero shows up of all things and fights you, and I don't know, it just feels very thematic. You have these weird aliens, you bring down giant robots that are walking around and stuff. I really like the theming of this game. I'm still surprised it really is, like, it's nothing.
I've never played it.
No one ever talks about it, but I think it's a really fun game.
It's been a very long time since I played it, yeah.
That's Conquest of the Planet Earth.
Number 7.
My number 7 is my sort of meta pick for the list. As you said, Tom, yours was a little bit meta. Mine's also because it's supposed to be, the game is Hit Z Road. And the game...
Ooh, good choice.
...is not necessarily... What you are doing in the game is not necessarily thematic, but the entire package is presented from the point of view of, like, a kid who is, going on a cross-country trip while the zombie apocalypse is going on, and this kid has cobbled together pieces like bottle caps and old discarded playing cards and things like that, and created his own game. His or her, I don't know who it is, but and so that's the theme in the game, and that's sort of how it's presented to you. And they went through painstaking trouble to make every piece in that game feel that way. Where you can tell the backs of the cards are are like playing cards that have like frayed corners and everything. Yeah. Tokens, like I said, bottle caps. The kid has put on stickers on things and written on there. It's fantastically done. They really went through a lot of trouble.
And everything's like from his point of view too.
Right.
So you might see the zombie like that's a horrific thing, but the kid's kind of like on a trip with mom and dad,
Yeah, right. And so you got Polaroids, things like that. It's very well done. And I think if you look at it from that sort of meta point of view, this is a very thematic game. So that is my number 7, Hit Z Road.
My number 7 is a game that it takes place in the XCOM universe for video games, except it's not called XCOM. It's actually called Level 7 Omega Protocol. But it's definitely XCOM-ish.
Yes.
Because you have a team of Marines going in. And I like this game because the theming here, I think, is really strong. These Marines feel like Marines. You are not walking around and like, oh, look, a new machine gun. No, you got what you got. You might find a few medical packs and things, but you're not getting new weapons and, opening a chest that goblins are guarding. Right. While the bad guy is making aliens come out the ventilation ducts. You go in a room, you're never sure what's going to be there.
Right.
And the more adrenaline they spend, the bad guys feeding off their fear. It's really kind of creepy if you're the good guys, because you're just never sure what's going to burst out in a room. Yeah. I really like it. It kind of gives you that almost a little bit of Aliens.
Right.
A little bit too, that theming. It's not even attached to an IP. Well, I guess they're Level 7 IP, which has produced some okay games, but this one's the best of the lot. Level 7 Omega Protocol.
All right, that's a good choice.
That'll show up later.
My number 7, no, it's not on my list.
What? You guys are blowing my mind.
Again, I tried to think of
For
games.
us, this was hard. There's a lot of theming, good theming games, buddy.
I came up with 11 games.
All right, my number 7 is, again, another game that it has a space theme on it. But it's not probably what you would pick for a space theme. It has a very strong steampunk feel to it as well. But it is Mission Red Planet.
Oh,
and again, this is a really cool thematic game where you're taking astronauts and you're sending them up to Mars to colonize Mars and to control certain areas of Mars so that you can then gain more points and gain more points from the stuff that you're mining from the planet and that type of stuff. But it has a lot of cool mechanisms in it. One of my favorite is the character selection, the role selection, where everybody has the same cards, but you choose one, place it face down, and everybody has it at the same time. And once you can use one of your cards to get all of the rest of the cards back up into your hand. So I really enjoy that mechanism. That's kind of the thematic disconnect, but overall, the overarching feel of the game is what I really liked about it. Battling for and trying to fight for control for these different regions on Mars and trying to be the best player in some of these other regions. And the new edition, the second edition, really brought that to the top. I liked the addition of Phobos. I liked the little tiny thing of, instead of counting, going through the characters from 0 to 10 or 0 to 9, you start going backwards. And that's a really cool thematic change they put into the second edition as well. So I just really enjoy the game a lot, and it is very thematic. Mission Red Planet, my number 7.
Number 6.
My number 6 is Ocean's 11, kind of as a board game, and that is Burgle Brothers. I really think Burgle Brothers has a strong theme in it because you are cooperatively sneaking into something, offices, bank, whatever, trying to avoid the security guard that's walking around, using your skills to get in there and get to different locations. I really like that. I like heist movies a lot, and although I'm against stealing is wrong, except in movies where it's awesome.
Got it.
But
So
I
if
like
you film yourself stealing, Tom endorses that.
That's good.
Oh, movie. Yeah, that is 4 stars. But I like this feeling in a game. It's a unique theme. There's not a lot of games about this. I like the cooperative feel of it,
Right.
especially you have the 3 levels, and you're going up levels, going up and down the elevators and stuff. A lot of fun. That is Burgle Brothers.
Cool. All right, my number...
No crossover, I'm sure there.
I haven't played it yet.
I haven't played it either. My number 6 is a World War II themed game, and I made
Axis.
the delineation there because
And
there's
allies.
another war themed kind of game that's higher up on my list.
If you don't have at least 2 war themes on your list, I would be disappointed.
Well, I guess you can make the delineation that there's multiple
9.
wars,
Everything from here on out.
different
The
kinds
top
of wars. but
half
this
was
is like-
non-war. The bottom half is war themes.
no. This is a World War II themed game, and
That doesn't narrow it down, actually, at
no,
all.
it doesn't. But it's called V Commandos.
Really?
Wow. Yes. V Commandos is highly thematic because usually if people slap a World War II theme game on it, theme on a game, you are going in guns blazing, and it's my guys against your guys, and as long as I roll enough of the right kinds of hits, then I'll win. Basically, that's usually what most. And it's a sweeping generalization, I realize that, but that's usually what people conjure up in their minds. When you say war game, you're rolling a bunch of dice and all this kind of stuff. Well, you are rolling dice in V Commandos slightly, but most of the game is built around sneaking around, which is really cool because you're playing a crack team of commandos that are sent in for a very secret, covert operation that they don't want to be found out. They want to get in, do their mission, and get out. No frills attached. But so that's why I think this is a highly thematic game, because it takes that World War II theme and it treats it differently than most other games do, but it still remains true to the theme of the game, where you're this band of secret operatives trying to get in, get your stuff, and get out. Do your thing and get out. And I really enjoy all of the different mechanisms that are employed. There's this movement mechanism, and if you roll certain things on when you come into a room that has a guy, there's a chance that you can stay hidden. But if you roll the wrong things, then they'll see you, and then they might hit you. It's just
Flat up against
there's
the wall.
a lot of things. Yeah.
Brick
Blending
pattern.
in.
Brick pattern.
Yeah, the brick pattern like this. Yes. No,
Always works.
it's just a really thematic game. I've enjoyed the game a lot. It doesn't hit the table as much as it really should, in my opinion. But I've really enjoyed this game. Highly thematic. V Commandos. My number 6.
Starts with a V, it's got to be good.
My number 6 is also a zombie game, actually, because I did not know about that rule that Tom
No, I
instituted
just
on
did it
my-
for
I didn't either.
myself.
It
I
just
didn't make no
happened.
rule.
I would vote you out, Tom. This game
with a V,
is
must be
City of
good.
Horror, and that's why I would vote Tom out, because in City of Horror, you are trying to survive.
Wow.
You see, that's a really bad segue.
It's a bad segue, maybe, but it makes me feel bad.
Why? With that,
Because you vote me out.
I would feed you to zombies. But they would be feasting upon a great man. That's not making it any better.
Take Polaroids. Make you feel better.
Instagram them.
You fed them well, Dom.
I love how Instagram survived in the
I know,
zombie
right?
apocalypse. Yeah. Anyway, City of Horror is the very thematic thing about this game is both the way they handle the different locations and what's there and all of that, but also the mechanisms of you are just humans trying to survive. You cannot go toe-to-toe with the zombies. So what you do is when they are about to overwhelm a location, and they very well will, they easily could, you throw someone out of the building and you... this game's horrible. I just realized that.
Yeah,
it's a cold game.
Yes, it
I
is.
love this theme. So that's what the game's all about, and I think it's handled very well.
Welcome to the Dice Tower.
The voting in it, the sort of accusations that fly, the not knowing who you should be running away from, so that the next time zombies swarm the building, you're not there to be thrown out. Sneaking out while they're occupied, the zombies are occupied. It's very cinematic, this game, and if you buy into that, I think the game is going to tell you a very good story. So that's my number 6, City of Horror.
Number 5.
All right, my number 5 is a game that I have actually talked about at length at some points throughout the history of the Dice Tower, probably ad nauseum.
Jamaica.
No. Oh my goodness. no, that's-
Battlestar Galactica.
Thank you. Yes, very good.
Oh.
Very good.
He guessed
well
it.
done. I don't think it was that hard of a guess.
There's a few. There's like 4 or 5.
Yes, there
He
are.
said ad nauseum, so I was like, okay, let's see.
I have a list in my pocket.
But I really kind of forgot, I guess you could say, how thematic this game was. We were able to play it at Dice Tower Con. I've already talked about this in a previous session, but I was just able to play it recently at Dice Tower Con, and I think I forgot how thematic that game really is. And I also tried to wrap another... I've played games that had a different theme on it, that used a lot of the same mechanisms.
Dark Moon.
Just didn't work well. I didn't say anything.
So you try not to say.
Didn't try to name any names.
I'm okay with it.
But and it just didn't work out well. It didn't. Now some of the mechanisms were changed, and that might have been part of the reason why I like this one over the others. But
Which others?
Which?
I don't know. The thing is though, having been a fan of that IP since I was a little kid. I watched the original Battlestar Galactica when it came out in the 70s. I watched the new one when it came out, and watched everything, even the in-between, the movie that Scar that happened in between season
it's a terrible movie.
1 or 2 or whatever. I watched everything. I really enjoyed everything about the theme. But the thing is, I don't think you have to be a fan of the theme. It helps.
Right.
But you don't have to be a fan of the TV show to enjoy the game, and that's one of the cool things I like about it. It is very thematically immersive, but you don't have to know a lot about that IP to enjoy that immersion. It just, you get the benefit of that thematic immersion more, but you can still enjoy the game without it. And
When I
really
first
enjoyed
played,
it.
I had not seen any of the Battlestar Galactica stuff. I enjoyed it, but certainly knowing the show
Yeah.
helps you identify with the characters.
Yes,
you know?
it does.
You still haven't finished the show, have you?
No, and I won't probably. I got bored of it. Sick of that guy.
They all died.
He's sick of Baltar, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
can't
he's sick.
stand
Everybody
that
got
dude.
sick of that guy.
Ugh.
I every time somebody plays him, from the get-go, you're a Cylon. You're a toaster.
Oh, in the game, you mean? Mm-hmm. I just, whenever I see him in any other TV show, I'm like, I hate that guy. Hate that guy.
Well,
All right.
that's my number 5, Battlestar Galactica.
My number 5 is my Western pick for the list, which I thought was actually the game you were going to say. And this is Colt Express. Colt Express.
I don't like that game.
You don't like it? Oh, okay. I like Colt Express with the.
Oh, I knocked it over.
Well, you don't like the. Yeah,
Oh,
well,
I
you don't
knocked it
like
over
the
again.
programming too much, probably either, right? Yeah.
No, the program is fine. It's like
Too fiddly,
It's
yeah.
too fiddly.
But it is very thematic.
It is.
It's a game where you are going to be basically simulating a shootout and heist on a train, and everything feeds that vibe.
Yeah, it does.
You are running across the roof and jumping in windows inside and shooting each other up and grabbing loot and running up to the front of the train and trying to avoid the marshal who's chasing everybody and whose gun is going off. And the train there's even those events that come up once per round where, like, oh, the train, the conductor breaks, and so everyone like falls forward one cart or whatever. Like even those little things that went through the trouble of allowing them to be thematic, And so I do find the game to be interesting and engaging. The only thing that doesn't really make a lot of sense, but it kind of makes Western sense, is that by the end of the game, you might have been shot like 8 times. So it's like, oh, you're probably dead.
I'm okay.
It makes Western sense.
It does, right? I mean, in a Western movie, you might get shot a few times, and you're like, after like 2 scenes later, you're good.
Have you seen The Magnificent Seven?
That's kind of how that works. But so it makes Western sense, so that's fine. But yeah, it's very immersive. It's interesting. That's my number 5 pick, Colt Express.
Reminds me of that commercial on TV where James Marsden comes in and he's like, "Can I stop dying now?"
Oh yeah.
And what's his name?
He's got a bunch of arrows in him.
And he's got a bunch of. But you're so good at it, James.
Mark Wahlberg. Yeah.
Mark.
All right, my number 5 could have been any number of games in the card system that Jason Matthews has worked on. So I'm picking 1960. It's the one I played most recently.
Yeah.
Twilight Struggle, 1989. A lot of really good thematic games here. And I'm sure a lot of people there's a lot of probably heavy war games which feel thematic. But 1960 I really like. It's nice because the election is 57 years old now. So hopefully people aren't too attached politically to the the events that happened.
Yeah.
And so you can play it and kind of get in a theme. Every card has an event that happened during that election. It's really close. The states, the electoral system is accurate. It feels real fun. And you can really get into it again, hopefully without the other person getting upset on the side you're playing. And I like that a lot. It's a really cool game. I think it simulates an election really well. 1960.
Number 4.
All right, my number 4 is a game that has a scientific theme to it. Slightly, I guess you could call
Science?
it. Definitely science fiction.
Oh.
But it's not space. But the thing about science fiction
Dr. Eureka.
makes it so that you can fit almost any genre into this theme, and it works.
Star Realms.
Smash
Time
up.
Stories.
Really? Oh.
Time Stories is a very
That's a good
thematic
one.
game, and it's weird because it's
I can't believe
so-
I put Time Stories on the
it's
list.
so cool because don't worry, I got you guys. It's so cool though because you can literally, like I said before, you can literally put any genre into that game and it works thematically. And that's just a really cool thing because you're people that are traveling back in time to these different places.
That's what it's about. Okay.
You shut up. Anyway, I thought it was a highly thematic game. And,
Yes.
it's one of those thematic games where you can be. It's thematic if it's a zombie. It's thematic if it's in a crazy
Goat herder?
an asylum. It's thematic. It doesn't matter where you are. It's still a thematic game.
Right.
And I just think that's brilliant. So had to make my list. My number 4, Time Stories.
It's a good pick.
I'm shamed here. That's a good pick.
You really
All right.
are.
All right.
Appreciate it.
My number 4, I suspect, is on someone else's list. Now, by the time that you guys are watching this, hopefully we've played First Martians again, but we've only played it once. But the prequel to First Martians, or the game that inspired it, is Robinson Crusoe. And I think Robinson Crusoe is an amazingly themed game. It doesn't matter what scenario you're playing. It could be the Swiss Family Robinson scenario, but each scenario I
Rescuing
feel...
Jenny's the way to go. She's out there on a rock on her own. You gotta get out there and rescue Jenny. That's one of the scenarios.
I've played that game
Oh,
once.
You need to play more, man.
I haven't played the Rescue Jenny scenario. I played the first scenario 6 times.
You're bad at the game. How many times have you won?
Shut up.
Zero.
How many times have you
How many
won?
times you
So many times.
Zeros.
I think I won 1.
Everything about the game is
probably
really thematic, though. I like if you find some eggs. You're like, oh, I'll take these eggs. Later on, a bird mother attacks you. Or you eat some berries. You're like, let's eat these berries. I'm sure I'll be okay. But to me, that's a really
Sure,
cool.
I'll be okay.
I really like how the
deserve to survive.
You never put something in your mouth if you're going to say that right after it.
Yeah, that's probably
I'm sure
fine.
I'll be fine. No.
those peanuts I just ate. Okay. But I think that everything in the game, all the mechanisms, everything is really tied to that theme. A lot. So Robinson Crusoe, my number 4.
My number 4 has already been mentioned by Mr. Sam Healy.
Ooh. Let me see. Which one?
Is it Battlestar?
It's Mission,
not Battlestar.
Mission Replane.
It is not. That's not on my
It
list.
is,
Time Stories?
It is Time Stories.
I feel worse!
Is it? Yeah.
Time Stories, baby, right there.
That's
Number
right,
quattro.
baby.
He just wrote it. We all saw it.
Yeah, because you could see all the scribbling.
Yeah, right.
You left it blank, just in case.
That's what it was. I left 4 blank. And I just waited till someone said something. I was like, sure, that'll be my 4 too. I want to
do it
create
next time.
crossovers. That's what it is.
That's awesome.
Time stories for everything Sam said, and I like that it's both. It's like 2 levels of stories working at the same time. You got the plug-in story
Right.
of whichever mission you're going on, if you would, and then the level above that where you are starting in the same place every game. You are someone in that quote-unquote real world dealing with your instructors every time, the things around you every time, and then they put you in a machine and shoot you into the game proper, if you would, right? And so I like that, the consistency of the level above that, and then you can just go wherever you want, and that's fantastic. From a storytelling point of view, it's like the best TV shows out there. That as soon as you see one episode, you think to yourself, "Oh man, this show's never going to end," because they can do so much, right?
Yeah.
Some shows you watch one episode and you're going, I hope they make it through one season,
Yeah.
because it's like such a narrow
Right.
topic, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, this can go on.
Prison Break.
Yeah, exactly.
They still did it, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly.
And
So
they're going back.
I know!
are they doing another?
Yes. He keeps just getting put in jail. I don't know
Now
what's
he's doing
wrong.
it for, like, fun, I
He needs
guess.
to go home and rethink his life. Is what he
Stealing
needs
purses.
to do. Yeah.
My number 4, Time Stories. Very good.
Number 3.
All right, my number 3 is my Star Wars pick, and that's what I was talking about, obviously, before. There's a lot of really good Star Wars games, and I had 2 that were on the short list.
Right.
The one I'm picking is Star Wars Queen's Gambit, because I really feel like it takes Star Wars Episode 1. Look, I have to go with the one I thought that was stronger thematically. It took Star Wars Episode 1 and it puts it into a game form. You have the battle on the Gungans against the droids. You
Love
have
Gungans.
you have the lightsaber duel.
You
You're ruining my top 10 list! But it really, look, whether you like the movie or not, this game does a really good job at putting all the different parts of that movie into a game. There's no way this game could be anything else.
Okay.
They actually made like a follow-up to it, the Star Wars Risk, which has a lot of the same mechanisms.
Right.
But this game is Star Wars Episode 1, or at least the last
So the Risk
half
one
hour.
was not as good.
Not as good. It was still good. Not as good. But I like it a lot. Star Wars Queen's Gambit.
The thing that Star Wars Risk has above it is that it is available.
Right,
There's
right. I
that
know.
too. Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, you can't buy it.
Super hard to find. Yeah.
So if you want Queen's Gambit, you can get it with Star Wars Risk.
Yeah, it has some
Gives you
similarities.
the same feeling. It's just episode
And super cheap,
episode
too.
6 and not episode.
So none of the dun 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 dun.
What's your number 3? I'm going to start mocking it as soon as you say it.
Really? Because I think you're going to agree with me. My number 3 is Photosynthesis, a game about.
Huh.
It's thematic.
It's thematic. I wouldn't have put it on this list, though. It's a cool theme.
Yeah.
I think it's a very thematic theme. What's going on in the game is very thematic.
Okay.
I did think about it.
Yeah.
I did think about putting it.
Are the
mean-
trees growing on their own, trying to stop other trees?
Trees grow anyway. What do you mean? I don't
Yeah,
know.
but I don't think trees are
Like, I don't
growing
think the trees are growing
strategically.
and then pulling out a knife, if that's what you mean. But that would be cool. So the trees are growing. They're casting shadows on trees behind them, which stunts their growth.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
you are, the sun will be traveling around and casting shadow in different ways, so that you look at the game, and if you don't understand how it works, you'll think abstract. You play the game, and it is
Thematic.
very thematic. I mean, it
that's
is
true.
like they went above and beyond, I think, to make something that would appear abstract and might have even developed that way to something that feels very thematic and something that is going to just captivate you. And again, for me, always the test is, can I explain the game mechanisms using the theme? And this game you can very easily. Like, it makes teaching this game a breeze.
You have to, actually.
Yeah. And so that's why it's high on my list. And everything you are doing, planting, they're growing, you are managing what's going on. It all works very well. So I like it a lot. This one is the newest game on the list for sure. Should be coming out at Gen Con 2017. So check it out.
Which
if
is
it sounds cool.
today, if you're watching this at the time it was posted.
There you go. Go swing by Blue Orange booth and check it out. That is my number 3, photosynthesis.
We're also on number 3.
Yes.
And my 3 has already been mentioned by Mr. Z. Garcia. What do you think it might be, sir?
Fury of Dracula.
Fury of Dracula is
Oh yeah,
correct.
that's true. You like that the most.
And again, and like I said during yours, it really could be any of the editions.
Yeah.
They were all very thematic. I've never played the original, the first edition, but I'm assuming it was just as thematic as the others. Just didn't look as good. But any one of these, and the reason it's so high on my list is because there are a lot of other games out there that do the same thing that Fury of Dracula does, but I don't consider them highly thematic. They're almost more abstract than anything else. You've got Letters from Whitechapel. The dude does pretty much the same thing. You've got the one in the London Underground. What is it called? Where you're moving him
Nuns
around.
on the Run.
No, not Nuns on the Run.
Oh,
Where
Mysteries in Letters from Whitechapel.
No,
you
I
said
just
that
said
one
that
already.
one. The
This
guy.
is the top 10, not the podcast you need to listen, okay?
Wow! Just throwing him under the bus.
No, man, I'm just helping him out, buddy. Hey, you got to listen to us, okay? We're not Eric Summer.
Oh my goodness.
Love you, Eric.
Man. Well, it's the guy where you're moving him around on the subway, and you're trying to get him to a certain spot, and you can have him walk. I can't remember what.
That on the underground.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That one's not really the same
It's
vibe.
not really the same vibe, but it's the same kind of idea. You're trying to capture him, but you're really not. But anyway, you've got some games that do kind of the same thing, and they just don't feel thematic to me.
Right.
This one, Fury of Dracula, way thematic.
Right.
From the artistic design to how you're able to move around, to how you're able to communicate, to how you're able to, how you have to fight Dracula when he's there. You have to gauge it so that you're not fighting him in the evening or the nighttime. I wasn't so worried about the thematic disconnect in the daytime, nighttime thing like you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge deal, but
it
it
wasn't a
is a
huge
little bit
deal,
like,
so I didn't really let that affect where I put it on my list. But the idea of A Fury of Dracula is very thematic. Really enjoy the game. If you have not given 3rd edition a try, you really do need to, and you need to do so quickly because the possibility of you getting that game in the near future is highly slim.
Well, after this list, everyone will be like, buy it. People are gonna blame you too.
Well,
and-
that's my number 3, Fury of Dracula, 3rd edition.
Number 2.
My number 2 is the probably Sam will give me garbage for this. My number 2 is Pandemic Legacy.
Of course.
Now, I actually considered putting this on my list too, because the story's so strong in
I'm
it.
glad you said Legacy and not just regular
No,
Pandemic.
Pandemic is not that thematic. I mean,
Correct.
again, it wouldn't make this list. I like the theme a lot. I do find it engaging and very interesting, but Pandemic Legacy, from a thematic storytelling point of view, blows Pandemic out of the water.
Correct.
And so that's why I put it on the list. That's why it makes this list, because the story is so rich. You will get attached to what's going on. You will start identifying with specific characters, develop little backstories for them. You name them, and then you start, you give... this is not really a spoiler, I think, at this point, but they have relationships between them, the characters. I'm sorry. So I think it's very thematic, very rich. The only thing that made me pause for 1 second is the fact that after you play each game, you set the game up again, and you are all back at the CDC, and it doesn't really keep going, but I excused it away by saying, you finished what you were doing and you got evacuated back to the CDC.
In an epic sense, it still makes sense.
It did.
Because you might have, the first game that you win, you made small progression. But now you have to continue making those small
Yeah, no,
small
that
progressions.
works.
So
that
it,
works.
it still makes
just resetting
sense.
back at home is,
understand.
but again, you just assume you're evacuated, you're good to go. So yeah, Pandemic Legacy, very thematic, engaging game, great story. That's my number 2.
All right, my number 2 is one of the ones that I'm surprised hasn't been mentioned yet.
Okay.
I know probably why my number 1 hasn't been mentioned by you guys, but I'm wondering if this will be your number 1s.
That's not going to be my one.
I doubt it.
My one is not.
Okay. Anyway,
kind of a
Captain
weird thing.
Sonar.
We'll keep it real simple.
Captain Sonar. Yeah, that's
Is
pretty
a
good. Yeah, that's a
highly
good one.
thematic game, and if you try to, wrap something else around that, I don't think it would work as well as it has as a submarine warfare game.
Yeah, you're right.
And I guess you don't actually have to call it warfare, but you could just be pinging the other submarine. But no, you're launching
It's
torpedoes.
war games.
Yeah.
It could be like
Yeah,
all
so
fun.
it's all in a computer system. Yeah, that makes it better. Captain
does.
Sonar. Captain Sonar is just really cool. I love the team aspect of it, where you are both on different bridges of different submarines,
Right.
tracking each other through the use of your instruments, and you're having to make sure that all of your systems are aligned and working well, and it's just so much coolness wrapped into this game, and the fact that it can handle up to 8 people.
I think so. Yeah.
I think
Right.
it's just 8 people.
Well,
Doesn't
eight is the best number,
Yeah,
actually.
8 is just really, that's really cool that a game is so fun to play and is so thematic, and it still handles that many people well.
Right.
Last game we played with Battlestar Galactica had 7 people in it, and it was a long game, but it was very fun. This one is very fun, and it doesn't take that long to play either. So it's really cool. That's why it's so high on my list. My number 2, Captain Sonar.
That's a
I will
good
take
pick.
his segue and go into Battlestar Galactica.
Oh, really?
Because here, listen, even
So
though
you're number 2.
even though
Wow.
even though Battlestar
Did you
Galactica
forget
has
about Captain Sonar? Is that what happened?
even none of your business. Stop making fun of my forgetfulness. Even though I've kind of cooled on the game some, there's other games I'd probably rather play. There's no question that whoever made this game watched that TV show. No question.
Right,
Because
no, you're right.
the betrayal, the whole, as soon as you play, it's kind of like, can I trust anyone? And once you add in the expansions.
Especially after when you add that second
Oh, yeah.
handing out, it's like, nah, I don't know who to
Everything
trust
changed,
anymore.
right?
Right,
Things
the whole
could have
time you
changed,
thought you
right.
were being good, but
Right.
maybe you aren't.
Yeah.
Oh, it's
That's
really
brilliant.
well done. And normally I'm also opposed to putting stills in a game of like the TV
Screen
shows,
caps,
screen caps and stuff, because it usually doesn't look good, and this game made it look good.
Yep.
And the pieces and if you feel like you're going to lose the whole game. Although, honestly, of all cooperative games, this is one of the ones I've seen won as much as I've seen it lost.
Yeah, that's pretty even.
So,
No, but
I
you're
like
right.
that.
Everything about it is thematic. I mean, one part that always jumps out to me in my head is you're like struggling, getting inundated, and then you make a jump. Boom.
Yeah,
And then wherever
exactly.
you land in space, you're good.
Yeah.
And then they're like, they start showing up again.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Like, it's just like the show, and
Yep.
it's very, very well done. You're right.
So my number 2, Battlestar Galactica.
And finally, number 1.
All right. 11. I'm feeling good here.
18, baby. 18 is the highest number since the number 20.
We have to roll off.
Why do we have to roll off? He got the first
Just
one.
kidding.
What if you guys
9.
add your twin powers and they activate?
Then we beat you.
All right, I'm gonna go first. I'll do then Sam, then you. Okay?
Well, I know what yours is. I have
You don't. You really don't. Unless
what it
maybe
is.
I missed
Say what
something
it is.
really, really obvious.
Oh, I
yeah.
thought Ramsey Crusoe was your first.
No. I think that game's
I have no idea.
thematic in many ways, but
Not a number 1. thematic.
yeah, I just didn't break into the list. I guess.
All right,
I
what
don't
do
know.
you got?
My number 1 is actually a co-op game that, while it doesn't feel very original, and when it came out, it still did not feel very original. I do think that everything in it fits thematically. The game is Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Oh.
And Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Okay, that's your number 1.
That's my number 1 from a thematic point of view, because every little thing in the game can be explained away by theme or can be embraced from the point of view of theme. Exploring the ship, which begins unexplored. Walking into rooms that are burning and they get hotter, and barrels of gunpowder explode and set other rooms on fire. In many ways, like Flashpoint Fire Rescue, yeah. You walk into rooms with skeletons, you fight them, When they're finally taken out, you can steal from them. When you are carrying loot, you are slower. I mean, every single thing. To the point that the first couple of times you play this game, you might miss stuff. Because it's so thematic, like old school games, that they try to simulate every little thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you're like, oh, I forgot to do that thing when I was doing this thing, you know? When you finally get to the end of the ship, you might or might not have an exit out the back, depending on the way the tiles came up. So you got to double back and come out the same way you came in, where you boarded the ship, you know, that was burning. It's very thematic, and it's a horror theme, which I do tend to enjoy. A light horror theme, yeah, but it is a unique one. I haven't seen any other game that is you as also the bad guys, you're pirates, attacking and looting a ship while it's burning, and it's also haunted. Great. You know, I thought I was just taking loot off of a ship. There's actually like skeletons and beasties.
There's a reason this ship is being burned.
So yeah, that's my number one, Dead Men Tell No Tales.
All right, my number one
It's a Star Wars game.
It is a Star Wars game.
Star Wars Queen's Gambit.
It is not Star Wars
man,
Queen's
this is
Gambit.
Rebellion.
If you want to play Episode 1, go ahead and take Star Wars Queen's Gambit. If you want to be in the cockpit of a X-Wing or a A-Wing and make those minute decisions in one singular space battle, then you pull out X-Wing.
I thought X-Wing was your number one for a moment.
If you want to be on the commander of a capital ship and on the bridge of a capital ship and
wanna play the board.
and do an entire fleet, you jump off a bridge, take a long walk of a short pier, then you will play Star Wars Armada. But if you want to play Star Wars, the entire series of Star Wars, then you pull out Star Wars Rebellion.
Yeah, baby.
Because Star Wars Rebellion is the entire Star Wars universe, generally speaking, in a box. And if you want to feel like the Empire, you play the Empire. If you want to feel like the Rebellion and how thin their forces really were, then you play the Rebellion side of it. And the whole idea of trying to find the Rebel base through the Empire, trying to, provide these hit and runs with the Rebels and just, edge over here a little bit, get this mission away, build our reputation. It really feels like Star Wars, absolutely hands down. So my number one thematic game is Star Wars Rebellion.
Yeah, this was
Doesn't even come close.
The only reason this wasn't on my list is, again, I had Star Wars Queen's Gambit, and I was like, I thought Star Wars Queen's Gambit did the theme slightly better, but I think that...
I'm sorry, I'm mocking you on that one. No way Star Wars Queen's Gambit has a better thematic integration than Star Wars Rebellion. I highly disagree with you.
It does. It does, though. It really does.
No.
I'm right.
You have said that this is Star Wars in a box.
I do say Star Wars in a box. That's not the question. The question was thematic. All right, but my number one has already been said by Sam.
Was it my number two?
It was your number two. Captain
there you
Sonar
go.
was the first game I thought of on this list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because I mean...
You're redeemed for forgetting everything else you forgot, okay? You're back.
No, but Captain Sonar, I mean, when you're playing it, there's nothing else. You are at a submarine, looking around, where the one guy's sitting there, the guy's like, nothing's working, systems are shutting down. The shouting back and forth, it's really entertaining.
The only thing that game's missing is that moment where like the guy listening in is going like, there's splashes. Splashes. Yeah, that's the only thing that's missing from that movie, right?
Yeah.
You're right. It's very thematic.
Right, they do that moment of silent ready great with a few big... The guy's like a noise testing machine.
Yes,
If they hear any noise, I'm sorry, we know where you are now. But yeah, love this game. And again, like I said, there was a lot of games that could have made this list. A lot of games you mentioned, I'm like, oh, that's great games. And ones Sam mentioned. I think we really, and if you notice, most of the games we mentioned are in the last decade. Because I think board games nowadays, they're doing a much better job at putting the theme into a game and having a good game. You used to get one or the other.
Right, yeah.
Well, I mean, you guys are much more, both of you, I think, are much more captivated, not by theme, because I think I'm captivated by theme, but by theme integration. Whereas I tend to give that stuff a little bit more of a pass. But even with games that are, not Amerithrash or whatever American-style games, they are getting better, at integrating whatever's going on into those mechanisms. You know, many of these games are Euro games, but they have found the ability to make the players feel like the characters. And that's really where it's at, you know. So I think you're right. I think it's great to see games being able to do that so efficiently these days.
That is cool.
Well, tell us what you think. What games did we miss? What games should we not have said? Tell us in the comments. Until next time, I'm Tom Vassell.
I'm Z Garcia. Thanks, everybody.
Sam Healy. See you on the flip side, folks.